Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have recently been presented by quite a lot of new information by Thekiryu Dave. I will leave his channel link in the video description below. Basically, he had a quite lengthy video interviewing Cavalier employees, and whilst he went through quite many questions, a lot of them definitely didn't get like a concrete set answer. There was obviously still quite a bit of to be determined. We're looking into it and so on and so forth, but we did get some concrete answers, and we're going to talk about the main 3 points that did come out of that video, at least for me specifically. And number one, that is obviously going to be the Hulkbuster buff. So Hulkbuster has been already, I think somebody in forums made a post that we voted him as the champion to be buffed over 130 days ago, so that's about 4.5 months. And currently we do have actual timelines for Hulkbuster buff. So the beta for Hulkbuster is scheduled to be started and launched in April, and the Hulkbuster buff in general should be live in Concert of Champions in June. So we still have about 3.5 months to go till then. And that obviously is not maybe the answer everybody was looking for and hoping for this buff to become sooner, but at least now we know when we can expect something to happen. April is going to be the beta tests, and June is going to be the actual launch of the buff. They did talk about increasing his defensive capabilities as well as giving him some new tricks on offense. They didn't mention anything too much specifically, some sort of abilities that he will have or anything like that, but at the very least it's definitely refreshing to have a timeline on this, because I do know that a large part of community is certainly extremely interested in the progress of this buff, and rightly so. Obviously it's sometimes quite painfully long wait since something like that happens, and that definitely was obvious in the last champion updates, Oldman, Logan, and Colossus. So Hulkbuster is looking to be pretty much just as long, so that is more or less the kind of timeline we can expect. I believe that about 8 months or so since the champion gets nominated or designated for rebalance till actually these balances go live, and at least that seems to be the kind of like speed timeline that they are setting for themselves. Again, ideally it would obviously be quicker, but I'm not gonna jump too much on the case just because I'm already kind of like tired of venting and all the negative stuff. So anyways, Hulkbuster buff beta in April, live in June, and that is definitely a good piece of information to have. Another important topic of discussion was Cavalier difficulty, or whoever wants to nitpick on my pronunciations, please feel welcome. Basically, monthly event quest next added difficulty with changed rewards, and also the topic of discussion there was an increase in uncollected rewards, and that was a flat out never. Uncollected rewards are never realistically going to change. They said to be increased. They will be changed apparently, but that's not going to be like a significant increase in them. But obviously that would also somewhat kind of make sense, since Cavalier difficulty is coming. That is where kind of like the reward progression is going to be geared at, and the base idea is it is going to happen in 2020, thank effing god, but they did not specify whether it's going to be the first or the second half of 2020, so it's quite obvious that it is not going to happen within the next 3 to 4 months, let's say. So we're realistically looking probably at June the earliest, and more likely sometime at the autumn time, but it was at least to a degree good to get the confirmation. Obviously, again, this is one of the things that we're eager, we're asking, we're gagging, we're desperate for this new difficulty to be added, because uncollected, and again, I might I don't know, make some people feel upset because it is outdated and it is underwhelming and it poses no challenge to the current kind of like top tier players, and it's definitely not nowhere near as exciting to play it as opposed to 2 years ago when it was introduced and when it was actually like difficult, and when we only had like a couple of rank 4s and stuff like that. So the change and the approach and the outlook of this whole uncollected difficulty quest thing has definitely dropped from something that was interesting, entertaining, and exciting, even if you were towards the top end of the game, to something that's relatively mute and feels like a bit of a chore and is relatively easy to be done, especially if you use like your best champions for your roster. But again, that being said, Cavalier difficulty coming in 2020, no specification of date. We do not even know exactly whether it's going to be the first or the second half of 2020, but it's kind of implied that it's definitely not going to be within the next 3 to 4 months. But again, at least it's coming. At least we know it's coming, and let's hope that the rewards for it will be appropriate as well. And the last thing would be duels. Right, so if we're gonna go to Alliance, the dual targets, and also it kind of like coincides with the idea of, let's say, training grounds or whatever. So the base point is the dual system seems to kind of be underutilized, and it's been basically used for a different reason than it was initially set and designed for. And currently it's kind of being used as this training ground method tool where people go and fight against more difficult defenders, like, I know, Iron Man, Infinity War, Champion Boss, or whatever else, maybe a new champion gets added to the game, and just to get in some practice. So what Kabam said they are already kind of like close to implementing in game within the next couple of months. So that is a relatively close timeline. So basically, let's say by April or May, we will have in-game Kabam owned and created player profiles that will go by the name of the champion. So let's say Silver Surfer, and it will have the top champion as the Silver Surfer and the highest possible available star level and rank level. So basically, if you're going to want to go and practice against the champion boss, you're going to have to type in the champion in the search bar. It's going to show you as a profile option a Kabam owned account that we can go and practice. Or if you're going to want to practice against Mr. Fantastic, you're just going to have to type in Mr. Fantastic. It's going to find a Mr. Fantastic profile for you, and you will be able to go in and practice to your heart's content. And I especially like this idea because A, it obviously kind of like solves a lot of kind of like problems when it goes to actually finding these dual targets, and B, quite often when you do find these dual targets, like the opponents have either Suicide Mastery Zone or something else that makes that fight in reality different from what you're practicing for. So for instance, if you're using a low ranked champion that does damage over time effects like bleed, for instance, and you're going up against somebody with willpower, no matter how long you fight, it can be possible that you will never inflict enough damage to actually chip down their health. Or on the contrary, if your dual target's running suicides, then it doesn't really matter who you're using. Eventually they're going to kind of kill themselves, and the fight will not reflect the actual kind of like fight that you're trying to train for in Act 6 or wherever. So I definitely do like the fact that there will be these more easy to find and more stable kind of like streamlined dual examples for us to practice against, and that will also for sure make creating some videos easier. Yeah, basically, if we want to make how to defeat an Alice video, you can just go in and duel that guy with like low rank champions time and time again, and that will reflect relatively well how it would translate to a real world and real content. And I'm definitely, personally at least, quite a bit excited for that. But that is going to be kind of like more or less it about the 3 major topics that I want to discuss. Number 1 is Hulkbuster buff is coming June, beta of that is coming in April. Number 2, Cavalier difficulty is coming in 2020. They were not able to specify first or second half, so that kind of pretty much to me tells that it's not going to be within the next 3 months. And then last one, that duels will get updated, and we're gonna have Kabam designed and set profiles as dual targets going by the champion name. So that is definitely one of the things that I'm looking forward to. And all in all, it's kind of like a great video as well. There are many different questions being asked about arenas, about different game modes, about game economy, and basically a lot of stuff. Another thing that I kind of did actually like before I quickly finish the video was the possibility of removing solo objectives. and like 7-hour events and 22-hour events. This is what I mean, solo events. Yes, so 7 and 22-hour events may be going away and be replaced by something else. And I definitely am one of those people who kind of feel that would probably be quite good, because for most part I ignore vast majority of them, maybe with the exception of waiting a level up event, ideally. Sometimes I don't wait for those either, and I certainly ignore all those 7-hour events because they definitely do not have anything that I'm remotely interested in, and the only thing that I cared about in those daily events was the units pretty much. And so that being changed and jiggled up, as well as a potential change in masteries that they do talk about in there, I'm certainly excited about. But yeah, anyways, that will be it. Let me know what you guys think about the timeline of Hulkbuster buff, about the change in duel targets, about the next difficulty on monthly quests, all of that. Drop a comment, tell me what are your thoughts, opinions. Go check out Dorky DD Dave's channel and see the original video. It's about 40 minutes long, I think. And all of that good stuff. Hit like, subscribe, share button, all the buttons, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Whoopsie. See you in a second. Can't find stop record button. There we go. See ya.